Welcome to the Clo tutorial, Quick Start. In this tutorial, we will cover how to make a simple dress using the 2D pattern tools. We will then edit the pattern to turn it into an asymmetric ruffle hem dress. We will start by creating a rough bodice pattern. Move your mouse over to the 2D pattern window on the right side and scroll the center mouse wheel to zoom into the pattern window. Along the top of the pattern window is the pattern toolbar. Select the polygon tool to create the front side of the dress pattern. Starting at the shoulders, click on points around the body to create the vertices of the pattern. Click the start point to close the polygon and finish the front dress block. You will notice a dotted line around your pattern. The pattern is automatically selected once it is closed. To create the back dress pattern, press Ctrl+C to copy and Ctrl+V to paste. Click to place the back pattern next to the front. We are going to sew the front and back sides of our pattern together. Select the segment sewing tool from the pattern toolbar. To sew corresponding seam lines, select the lines in pairs. Click the first seam line. Notice how the dotted lines in between the two seams are now crossed. This is because we have the mouse at the opposite end of the second line. Move the mouse over to the other end of the line and make sure the dotted lines are parallel, not crossed. When there are many seam line pairs, it may become difficult to tell if the dotted lines are parallel or crossed. In this case, you can also check the sewing notches that form along the seam lines to make sure they have been placed and matched correctly. Click the second seam line. Sew the rest of the seam lines in the same way. When sewing lines, keep in mind that the patterns are placed side by side with the face of the fabric facing you. For example, the right side seam of the front pattern should not be sewn to the right side seam of the back pattern. It should be sewn to the left side seam. Click the Synchronize button to transfer the information between the 2D pattern and the 3D avatar windows. In the 3D avatar window, click the Arrangement Points icon to turn on the arrangement points along the avatar's body. Using the arrangement points automatically places pattern pieces so the face of the fabric is facing out. This allows for easy pattern placement. To place a pattern, simply select a pattern and then click on an arrangement point. The center of the pattern will align to the arrangement point. Place the front pattern by selecting it and clicking the center front arrangement point. Right-click and drag the mouse to rotate the avatar. Select the back pattern and then click on the center back arrangement point. Click the arrangement point icon to hide the arrangement points. Then click the simulation button to sew the patterns around the avatar's body. To make any changes to the pattern, you must first select the pattern and then select the line you want to change. Let's start by curving the neckline and armholes. Click on the pattern. In the 2D pattern window, select the 3-point curve tool. Click on the line you want to curve, then drag the mouse in the direction of the curve. Note that the point you click is where the third point will be added. If you make a mistake, press Ctrl+C to undo. If you want to edit the curve, select the Edit Pattern tool, then click and drag the red anchor point of the curve. Next, let's increase the length of the pattern. Click the Edit Pattern tool and select the front pattern. Click and drag the bottom hemline. Holding down the Shift key while dragging to show guidelines and alignment axes. Edit the hem of the back pattern in the same way. Next, let's widen the hem of the dress. Select the edge point of the hem and drag to move the point. Hold down the Shift key to show guidelines and alignment axes. Repeat on the other side of front as well as the back hem to create an A-line dress. We can then use the 3-point curve tool and curve the front and back hem of the dress. To add some shape to the side seams, we can use the Add Point Split Line tool to add points along the left and right side seams. Use the Edit Pattern tool and move the new points to create a closer fit at the waist. Still using the Edit Pattern function, double-click on a point along the bottom hem and drag it up to create an asymmetrical hem. Hold down the Control key while you drag to constrain movement along the line. Shift the hem's red anchor point to smooth out the angle between the side seam and hem. Next, we will change the silhouette of the dress by changing the elasticity of the bottom. First, select the bottom hem of the dress. Then go to the Property Editor window on the far right, scroll down to find Elastic under the heading Selected Line and turn it on. Under Elastic Ratio, change the setting to around 40 to 50. Now let's repeat the same steps for the back of the pattern. Select the bottom hem of the dress and turn the elastic on. Change the elastic ratio to the same value as the front. Finally, let's make some ruffles to add along the bottom hem of the dress. Before you begin, turn the simulation off. Otherwise, new pattern pieces will fall to the floor as they are drawn since they have not been sewn or placed on the body. In the 2D pattern window, select the rectangle tool. Click to start the rectangle and drag to size it. Use copy and paste to duplicate the ruffle pattern for the back. Select the segment sewing tool to sew the ruffle pattern onto the hem of the dress. Repeat on the back side of the dress. Now we can arrange the front and back ruffle patterns in the 3D avatar window. Select the front ruffle pattern and use the blue arrow on Arrangement Sphere to position the pattern in front of the avatar. Rotate the avatar and select the back ruffle pattern, then drag it closer to the body. Use the blue arrow on the Arrangement Sphere to position the back ruffle pattern on the avatar. Since we did not use the arrangement points to place the pattern, we need to flip the pattern so that the correct side of the fabric is facing out. With the pattern selected, right-click and select Flip Horizontally from the pop-up menu. Click the simulation button to sew the ruffle onto the dress. Before you begin, turn the simulation off to prevent gravity interference and a slow working speed. To assign a specific color or print fabric to the dress, locate an image file on your computer using the standard Windows File Explorer. Drag and drop the image file onto the pattern in the 2D pattern window or on the garment in the 3D avatar window. Clo3D supports most image formats including JPEG, BMP, PNG, GIF, and PSD. To assign the color or print to the whole garment, select the entire pattern in the 2D window using the Edit Pattern tool. Then drag and drop the image file onto the pattern in the 2D window. You can use the Edit Fabric tool to modify the scale, angle, and placement of prints. Use the tool to select the entire pattern in the 2D pattern window and then click on a pattern. A circular placement guide will appear. To scale the prints, select and then drag a point on the circular placement guide. To unselect, click outside of the pattern. To rotate the prints, click and drag along the line of the circle. You can also drag the circle itself to shift the placement of the print. Next, let's overlay a print design on the dress. Unlike fabrics and print fabrics, print designs need to be synced in order to be reflected in the 3D avatar window. Remember to turn on the Synchronize button when working with print designs. Select the Create Print Design tool in the 2D pattern window, then select the image file you would like to use. Click on a pattern and enter the dimensions you would like to use for the print design. You can use the Edit Fabric tool to modify the scale, angle, and placement of prints.